Don't want to take everybody back to the dark days, but 8 weeks ago, D.C. full shutdown mode. Political sniping, and that's putting it politely. You had the back and forth, the threats, the name calling, the posturing, and at the end of the day, very little, if anything, was ever getting done. And it had all the usual political suspects doing all the shouting. And then, and this is real, not an oversimplification, D.C.'s women got into the game, and the result was, as you all know, an end to the crisis, or at least a temporary one. Headlines like this: women are the only adults left in D.C. Time magazine put it the following way: the only place the old boys network in the Senate seems to function anymore is among the 4 Republicans and 16 Democrats who happen to be women. Or even more directly put, men got us into the shutdown, women got us out. That from HuffPo. Now, confirmation of that from John McCain, who after the deal was done said leadership, I must fully admit, was provided primarily from women in the Senate. Now, the main reason why was offered by one of these aforementioned women, Maine Republican Senator Susan Collins, who said, I don't think it's a coincidence that women were so heavily involved in trying to end this stalemate. Although we span the ideological spectrum, we are used to working together in a collaborative way. And it all begs the question, why don't more women get involved in politics if they are this effective? And we've heard a lot of theories, including this one that came from a recent study from American University. The study found that women on the whole get less encouragement from parents to get involved in politics, less likely to join college political groups, and fewer view themselves as very qualified to run than do men. Let's first do the things we've learned and speak firsthand. It seems that guys, it's an ego trip a lot of times. Everybody can't give an inch because it's seen as weakness or whatever. Is it an oversimplification to say that for women it's business, it's not personal?
I think it's a bit of an oversimplification, but there is, I believe, some truth to the one, women are fairly used to a collaborative working process. So they're less, on the whole, and we're generalizing, inclined to sort of need to take the credit and shut the others out. And 2, women are good at having the personal relationship that transcends differences. And that I think they do outside of politics and they do it inside of politics. And that's what happened in Washington. Those women have dinner together on a regular basis. It used to be that men of different parties had dinner together in the Senate and in Albany, and that's all broken down. But women of different parties and different views continue to socialize and have a relationship so that when the rubber meets the road, they can sit in a room, and I do think, to your point, not have to be the deal maker and be willing to give a little with the common good being the end goal. So I think there's a lot to be said for it. I'm a big proponent of it. I've been speaking at several events where the encouragement is to younger women get into the game.
Why do you think the numbers are still the way they are? I mean, you've seen it materialize. If you look at college populations, more women than men are in college right now. You look in terms, every single metric you use, women have caught up in many ways to men. Pay, they're almost there. Hopefully that'll be at least level in short order. But in politics, 80-20 in the Senate. I mean, you go to Albany, you know better than I do how the math works out. Is it because the study said they don't get the encouragement to get in, or they just look at it and say, why would I want to be in that clown car? No offense.
No, I actually don't think it's the latter at all. And I never hear that. What I hear is some of the things that were in this study. 1, they weren't encouraged at home. 2, they lack confidence. They doubt themselves all the time. I'm not quite qualified enough. I'm not quite good enough. I always say, you think men sit back and say, I'm not quite qualified, I don't know enough about the debt limit? No, they don't say that. They jump right in. They're very small, but then you just move right ahead. And the third thing in that study, women in competitive sports. Less involvement of women in competitive sports is part of that study. And I think that the ability to be in a competitive environment, win and lose and get up and go the next day is something that men have gotten good at. And the more women can get good at it, the more women will be involved. So I'm hopeful it'll change.
I think so too. Yeah, and I do think there's also a piece of it is the time and commitment factor. A lot of women are juggling small kids at home, and it's difficult for them to pick up and go to Albany every week or to go to Washington. And I tip my hat to these women that do it, and they juggle. And I think that's part of why they get stuff done, because they're like, I got kids to get home to, I got bills to pay, I got this to do.
And
you need to get results, and they are used to
on
managing a lot of things.
On the family front, and the double standards that go in, and there's a few of them. I mean, just look at the headlines where we saw the clown down in D.C., I'm sorry, down in Florida, the congressman, Trey Riddell, excuse me, then you go to Toronto, my God, with Mr. Ford there. Do you imagine for a second, just hypothetically, the Toronto mayor was a woman, and that he was caught with with crack, and that she was running around drunk, falling over herself, having instances running into people. Do you think that story would have been tolerated to go on for weeks at a time? And imagine if a woman was soliciting a male prostitute that, oh, I'm just going to get recovery. That, listen, I'm not even, banging the Iron Woman higher, but it's such a joke. We know how we treat this in the media business. We'd run them out of town here, and on the message boards, the words that would be attached to them. You're with me, right? There's still a complete double standard.
There's a double standard, but I think that, frankly, that women don't have the arrogance that us men have, and that's why I think women are very good for politics. And when it's a man, it's all about me, my ego. Forget the issue. How am I going to play in this? Let's take Senator McCain, just for example. How am I going to look out of this? When a woman is, well, let's get it done, for the people, whatever. and let's go home.
How many times have we sat on this show talking about this one and that affair, this one's in trouble for that? You never hear women getting in trouble for that stuff.
Wait. I hear equally about women having affairs.
Well,
I know some U.S. senators, obviously, that will stay unnamed, but they're not as stupid as men are when it comes to those types of things.
Well, how about
they're
something
not
more
out
basic?
there.
Do you think for a second said woman lawmaker has been caught cheating on husband, whether it's finding their soulmate in South America, whatever? Do you think the husband is going to be standing next to him at the press conference?
No.
Come on,
No.
right?
But I think the issue is less about the personal flaws of each of these people in politics, because, as you said, they all have flaws. We're all human. We make mistakes. I do think there's somewhat of a double standard, but I think the bigger challenge is the point you made at the beginning. Raising money. This is something women find very hard. Men, have chutzpah. They really just go in and raise them. They have to call their friend and ask for money. They do it, so what? It's uncomfortable. Women they agonize over, I have to make this call, I feel so bad. I have to ask my friend for money. No, you have to do it. So I think it's these fundamentals rather than the double standard.
One point that Jessica made, and listen, I'm the last person who will ever defend Sarah Palin, as Jessica will more than happily tell you. But do you remember all the criticism she got when she was traveling around the country, whether it be pushing a book, pushing a TV show, doing the hunting, whatever the heck she was doing? Wait a minute, you have a disabled child at home here, developmentally disabled. Where are you? Why aren't you staying at home and being a good mother? I guarantee you, if it was Joe Palin instead of Sarah Palin that was doing the same media tours, nobody would say a peep about it. How much does that play into you're a mother and an elected official, and you're expected to balance both effectively? The same questions wouldn't be asked of the same spouse.
I totally agree on that. I totally agree. My personal experience, I wanted to run when I had 2 young children, and 3 women legislators who I respect, and I respected their opinion, basically said to me, don't do it now. You will regret it. They didn't say, tell your husband to take more of the responsibility.
Regret professionally or personally?
You will regret it personally if you run now and you become an elected official now. You cannot handle it. Wait till later. Now, I was old when I got elected, chronologically old, but my children were grown, and I do think it is a real challenge for many women. And again, like I said, it's not like somebody say, oh, just call your husband up and say he's got to, double the load. No, it was find a way to do it, or maybe you should put it off.
Interesting. All right. When we come back, we're going to go into some of the big issues that's certainly going to be dominating the next calendar year in New York. I'm talking about fracking, casinos, tax cuts. We'll get into all that after this.